Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Warren's Team Talk. And today it's the next episode. Finally, I've got round to doing it. So sorry about the delay, guys. It's it's Arsenal's 1993-94 season, and my memories of being an Arsenal supporter during that time. And yeah, I'm going to tell you all about my memories of this one and how I remember it. It's the year that Arsenal went on into Europe and they won the European Cup Winners' Cup. It's only their second European trophy since winning the Fairs Cup in 1970. So yeah, it'll be quite an interesting one and some interesting stories there, I think. So anyway, before we get started, can I just please ask you to put a like on the video? Please make sure that you share the video around with anyone you think might be interested in seeing it. And also, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done that. So make sure as well when you do that, you hit the little bell button next to it. That will let you know anytime that there is a new video uploaded by myself. So yeah, if you can do that, that would be absolutely fantastic. So let me just get rid of that background because that's a bit mad, isn't it? So let's just hide that. Yeah, so that's better, isn't it? So yeah, so let's before we do that, it's Christmas Eve as I'm recording this. So I hope that you all have a great day tomorrow for Christmas with your families and friends and your loved ones and all the rest of it. I hope you enjoy your day. And yeah, I'm probably going to try and come on and do a stream in the afternoon just to say hello and have a chat with anyone who's interested. So yeah, look out for that. Should be quite interesting. Anyway, take care, guys, and let's get on with the show. So, yeah, like I say, this was Arsenal's 1993-94 season. And during this season, Arsenal signed Eddie McGoldrick from Crystal Palace. And then they sold David O'Leary to Leeds United. Colin Pates went to Brighton. Neil Heaney left to go to Southampton. And Paul Lyderson went to Scandinavia and joined AK Start. And then finally, last but not least, Anders Limpar went and signed for Everton, why Arsenal did that, I really don't know. I'm baffled by that. I wasn't very happy. I remember when Anders got sold, I thought he was a great player for Arsenal, but still, there you go. I'm not the manager, and my football knowledge is nowhere, shape, or form anywhere near as good as George Graham. So there you go. So this was the Arsenal team group. Let's put that on full screen so you can see that hopefully a bit better. This was the Arsenal team group picture for the 1993-94 season. Now, believe it or not, this is the best picture that I could find of an Arsenal team group for that season. And as you can see, Arsenal sitting there proudly with their FA Cup and League Cup trophies, which they'd won the previous season. And you can see George Graham sat there in the middle and a few other notable players there. You can see Alan Smith, Steve Bold at the back, Paul Davis. Who else is there? Kevin Campbell, Ian Wright, Dave Seaman. Yeah, so, Bray Parler sat there. Don't look very happy, does he? So, but yeah, there you go. That's the Arsenal team group picture. And then the first match of the season was the annual curtain raiser game, the friendly match for which the Charity Shield trophy is awarded, and this was between Arsenal and Manchester United. And like I say, it's more like a friendly warm-up game for the new season than an actual full-blown trophy like the FA Cup and League Cup are. But anyway, the game ended in a 1-1 draw, and Manchester United went on to win the thing on penalties by 5-4. And yeah, so the lineup for Arsenal that day was Dave Seaman in goal, Lee Dixon, Andy Linnigan, Tony Adams as captain, Nigel Winterburn as left back, and then in midfield they had Anders Limpar on the right hand side, central midfield partnership with Paul Davis and John Jensen, and left midfield they had Paul Merson. And up front, they had Kevin Campbell and Ian Wright. And the subs bench that day saw Alan Miller, Martin Keown, Eddie McGoldrick, Ian Selly, and Neil Heaney. And obviously the manager was George Graham. And the goal scorers that day were... let me just get rid of that banner for a second. Hold on, guys. Yeah, so the goal scorers that day were Ian Wright, who scored in the 40th minute to equalise the goal that Manchester United scored through Mark Hughes to give them an 8th minute lead. So, yeah, there you go. That was the Charity Shield game. And the first game of the season saw Arsenal entertain Coventry City at Highbury, a game that Arsenal lost by 3-0. And Mickey Quinn there, the one pictured in the middle, he scored a hat-trick, and Arsenal lost the game by 3-0. And I can remember being absolutely furious at this result. I just could not believe it. Losing on the first day of the season. You always go into a new season, you're full of optimism and happiness and thinking, right, this is going to be our year, we're going to go and win the title, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And that quickly evaporated after this performance. So there you go. I was not happy at all. I'm not a happy bunny. So the fixtures for Arsenal during August, like I say, this lost 3-0 at home to Coventry City. Then after that, they went and won 1-0 away at 3 Point Lane, as Arsenal refer to it as, White Hart Lane, as everyone else does. And Ian Wright scored that day. And then they won 1-0 away at Sheffield Wednesday. Again, Ian Wright with the winning goal. Then won 2-1 at home to Leeds United with Paul Merson and an own goal being on the score sheet. And then they won 2-0 again at home to Everton with Ian Wright scoring both the goals. So despite that early disappointment at home to Coventry, the season didn't get off to a really bad start, really. And on the 28th of August, at the end of August, Arsenal was sat in third place in the league title and the league title race, 1 point behind Manchester United, who are top, and equal on points with Liverpool. So not a bad start all in all, despite that humiliating defeat on the first day of the season. And then the fixtures for September saw Arsenal take on Blackburn Rovers, Ipswich Town, Manchester United and Southampton. And the pick of those games for me was when Arsenal played Ipswich Town at home, because Arsenal won this game really comfortably. They won it by 4-0. Super Kevin Campbell scored a hat-trick, and Ian Wright also got on the score sheet, and Arsenal won the game, like I say, very comfortably by 4-0. They also that month drew 1-1 with Blackburn Rovers away. They lost 1-0 away at Manchester United, and they also won 1-0 at home to Southampton. And at the end of September, Arsenal sat second in the league, 3 points behind Manchester United, who were absolutely flying at this point. At their first 9 games, they'd won 7, drawn 1, and lost 1. So yeah, it wasn't looking too bad, to be honest. It was looking quite promising. So my optimism about the season was gradually starting to increase as the games went on. And then in October, Arsenal faced Liverpool away, Man City at home, Oldham away, and Norwich at home. And all 3 of these games ended in a 0-0 draw. And Arsenal ended the month in 3rd place. Probably the pick of the games for me was the game on the 2nd of October against Liverpool at home. Again, which obviously ended in a 0-0 draw. But it's a bit weird, that, isn't it? Like drawing every single game 0-0 for a whole month in the league. So there you go. So at the end of that month, Arsenal had slipped down to 3rd in the table, level on points with Norwich and Blackburn Rovers, who were 4th, and Aston Villa in 5th, and 1 point ahead of Leeds in 6th, and Liverpool had slipped down to 7th. But Arsenal were now trailing Manchester United by 11 points, who were running away with the title at this point. Their impressive start to the season had continued. Of their 13 games, they've won 11, drawn 1, and lost 1. So, yeah, there you go. And then for November, Arsenal lost 2-1 at home to Aston Villa. They won 2-0 away at Chelsea. And they drew 0-0 away at West Ham United. And then finally, on the 27th of November, they won 2-1 at home to Newcastle United. So the pick of the games for me was a 2-0 win at Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Beating Chelsea is always something I really enjoy. I've not got a strong liking for them at all, to be quite honest. And for me, it's sometimes these games for me are more intense than the games with Tottenham. But yeah, that day Arsenal won, like I say, by 2-0. Alan Smith scored and Ian Wright scored from the penalty spot to give Arsenal a 2-0 victory. So at the end of November, Arsenal sat 3rd in the league title race, level on points with 2nd place Leeds, and now 14 points behind Manchester United, who were really over the hill and far away, as they say, in this title race. So let's move on to December and see what December brought in the league title race. So in December, Arsenal lost 1-0 away at Coventry City. They drew 1-1 at home with Tottenham Hotspur. They won 1-0 at home to Sheffield Wednesday. Lost 2-1 away at Leeds. Won 4-0 away at Swindon. And then won 3-0 away at Sheffield United on the 29th of December. So the pick of those games for me was the 4-0 win at Swindon Town. And that Arsenal that day absolutely demolished Swindon. Kevin Campbell scored a hat-trick, and Ian Wright also got on the score sheet to give Arsenal a very comfortable 4-0 win. And those set of results saw Arsenal in 4th place in the Premier League table as at the 27th of December. They were now 16 points behind United, who would, as you can see, they were ripping away the rest of the league, and they would look like it was signed, sealed, and delivered really in December. But as you'll see, it didn't necessarily work out that way. Leeds were second with 40 points, 3 points ahead of Arsenal. Blackburn Rovers were third with 39 points, 2 points ahead of Arsenal, and Arsenal were 1 point ahead of Newcastle, who were fifth and who had a game in hand on Arsenal, and Norwich, who had 2 games in hand on Arsenal, were 3 points behind. So let's move on to see what happened in January. So in January, Arsenal played Wimbledon away and won by 3-0 with goals from Parla, Kevin Campbell and Ian Wright, and that's Raymondo Parla, the Ray Party Parla. Cheers, guys! And they drew 0-0 at home with QPR, and then drew 0-0 away at Manchester City, and they drew 1-1 at home with Oldham Athletic, with Ian Wright scoring a penalty to grab Arsenal a point. So at the end of that period, Arsenal were sat in third in the league table, and they were now sitting 5 points behind second place Blackburn Rovers and 18 points behind runaway leaders Manchester United. They were a point now ahead of Newcastle United in fourth, although the Geordies had a game in hand on Arsenal, and they were 3 points ahead of Liverpool in fifth, and 3 points ahead of Leeds in sixth. And Norwich at this stage had now slipped down to ninth. So in February, Arsenal played just 3 games in the league. On the 13th of February, they drew 1-1 with Norwich City, with Kevin Campbell getting on the score sheet. On the 19th of February, they drew 1-1 away at Everton. And then on the 26th of February, they won 1-0 away at Blackburn, with Paul Merson grabbing the winner for Arsenal. So the pick of the games that month for me obviously was the 1-0 win against Blackburn Rovers, when Paul Merson scored the winning goal in the 73rd minute. And that game, like I say, was a 1-0 win at home to Blackburn Rovers. So yeah, that was a good win, and their only win actually in the league in February. But mind you, they only played 3 games. So, but Arsenal at this point was sitting third in the league. They were 10 points behind second place Blackburn Rovers, and 17 points behind league leaders Manchester United, and they were now 7 points ahead of Blackburn, who were in second. So their lead at the top was being reduced slightly. Arsenal were 3 points ahead of fourth place Newcastle, and 4 points behind fifth place Liverpool. So let's move on now and see what happened in March. So in March, Arsenal won 5-1 away at Ipswich, that with an own goal Ray Parler also scored one, and Ian Wright grabbed a hat-trick, one of which was a penalty. And then they won 4-0 away as well at Southampton, with Ian Wright scoring another hat-trick, again, one of them from the penalty spot. And that day, Kevin Campbell also got on the score sheet. And then Arsenal then drew 2-2 with Manchester United at Highbury, with Arsenal that day's goals coming from an own goal and also Paul Merson scoring for the Gunners. And then on the 26th of March, Arsenal won 1-0 at home to Liverpool. So, those results, well, the pick of the games for me that month was a 1-0 win against Liverpool. I always enjoy the games with Liverpool. They're always really fiercely contested. Well, they were at this time. I don't know whether they're fiercely contested now. It's more like an absolute mauling nowadays, especially the away games. But yeah, that game was fiercely contested, and Arsenal won the game by 1-0 thanks to Paul Merson's strike for the Gunners in the 47th minute. And these set of results meant that Arsenal stayed in third place, 9 points behind second place Blackburn, who had a game in hand on Arsenal. And at this stage, Blackburn had reduced Manchester United's lead at the top of the table down to 3 points. And Manchester United were now 12 points ahead of Arsenal. And Arsenal were 1 point ahead of Newcastle, who still had a game on the Gunners. And then Arsenal was 6 points ahead of fifth place Leeds. And they were 8 points ahead of sixth place Liverpool. And so let's move on and look at April. Now, this month saw quite a lot of league fixtures for the Gunners, actually. They started off the month on the 2nd of April by drawing 1-1 at home with Swindon. And then on the 4th of April, they drew 1-1 away at Sheffield United. And then 12 days later, they went and won 1-0 at home to Chelsea, thanks to a goal from Ian Wright. And then 3 days later, on the 19th of April, Arsenal drew 1-1 with Wimbledon at home, thanks to a goal from Steve Bold. And then on 4 days after that, Arsenal won 2-1 away at Aston Villa, thanks to 2 goals from Ian Wright, one of which came from a penalty. And then 4 days after that, Arsenal went to QPR and managed to get a draw, and with Paul Merson grabbing Arsenal's goal. And then on the 30th of April, they lost 2-0 at home to West Ham. And then the final game of the season for Arsenal saw them lose 2-0 away at Newcastle. And those were the fixtures for April and May. There was only one league fixture for May that season, so that's why I've included the May fixtures in the April ones. So, the pick of the games during that period, again, was a 1-0 win at home to Chelsea. Like I say, I always enjoy beating Chelsea, and that's been the case for many a long year. And Ian Wright, yet again, did the damage against Chelsea. He scored in the 72nd minute to give Arsenal the 3 points. And the final table showed Arsenal ended the season in 4th. They were 6 points behind third place Newcastle, They were 13 points behind second place Blackburn Rovers, and Manchester United ended up winning the title by beating Blackburn into second place with an 8-point gap. So fair play to United. They had a very good season, and despite a little bit of a wobble, let's say, where they nearly lost the lead to Blackburn, but they held on and won the league title quite comfortably in the end. Arsenal finished 1 point ahead of fifth place Leeds and 6 points in front of sixth place Wimbledon, which I think was Wimbledon's best ever league finish or highest ever league finish. And Sheffield Wednesday finished in 7th, Liverpool were in 8th, QPR were 9th, Villa were 10th, Coventry were 11th, Norwich were 12th, West Ham 13th, Chelsea 14th. Our big North London rivals, Tottenham, were in 15th, Manchester City were in 16th, Everton were 17th, Southampton were 18th, and Ipswich were 19th. And the three relegated sides that season were Sheffield United, Oldham, and Swindon Town. So that was the league campaign, the Premier League campaign. The League Cup, known as the Coca-Cola Cup at this stage, saw Arsenal entertain Huddersfield Town. Sorry, they played Huddersfield Town over 2 legs. The first leg away at Huddersfield, Arsenal won by 5-0, thanks to a hat-trick from Ian Wright, 1 goal from Kevin Campbell and 1 from Paul Merson. The second leg at home saw Arsenal win by 6-1, thanks to a strike from Alan Smith. And then in the third round, Arsenal drew 1-1 with Norwich at home, with Ian Wright scoring for the Gunners. So this meant that the tie went to a replay. And in the replay, Arsenal won very comfortably by 3-0, thanks to 2 goals from Ian Wright and 1 from Paul Merson. And then in the next round, Arsenal entertained Aston Villa at home in the 4th round. And unfortunately for the Gunners, they lost the game by 1-0. So that was the FA Cup. Sorry, the League Cup. Or Coca-Cola Cup, as it was known then for sponsorship reasons. And then the FA Cup that season, in the third round, Arsenal travelled down to London rivals Millwall and won the game by 1-0, thanks to a goal from Tony Adams. In the 4th round, they went away to Bolton Wanderers and drew the game 2-2, thanks to goals from Tony Adams and Ian Wright. And the home tie against, well, the replay, I should say, because the game, obviously, because it was a draw, ended up going to a replay. And in the replay at Arsenal lost by 3-1, with Alan Smith grabbing Arsenal's goal. So very disappointing result there for the Gunners, getting knocked out by Bolton Wanderers. And then, so because Arsenal had won the League Cup, but more so because they'd won the FA Cup, they were then entered into the European Cup Winners' Cup, England's representative in this tournament, and this saw them actually win the European Cup Winners' Cup, which was Arsenal's first European trophy since 1970, when Arsenal won the Fairs Cup. Sadly, it's something that Arsenal haven't had a lot of success in down the years is European competition. We don't have a really good record in European competition. However, this season they went and were all conquering. Um, the the road to the final in Copenhagen took in Denmark, funnily enough, and played a team called Odense. I think that's how you say it. They went to the city of Liège, went to Turin in Italy, and also to Paris in France. So let's see what happened on their road to the final. So in the first round, they got drawn with Odense BK, and in the first leg in Denmark, they won by 2-1, thanks to goals from Ian Wright and Paul Merson. And then in the second leg at home, they drew 1-1 with a goal, thanks to a goal from Kevin Campbell, meaning they went through by 3-2 on aggregate. And then in the second in the second round, first leg, in the second round, they were drawn to play Standard Liège of Belgium. And in the first leg at Highbury, Arsenal won comfortably by 3-0, thanks to 2 goals from Ian Wright and 1 from Paul Merson. And then in the second leg, in Liège, Arsenal just went on the rampage and won by 7-0. Yeah, that's right. Georgie Graham's Arsenal, famous for winning by 1-0, went on the rampage and scored 7 people. Yeah, they won 7-0. Goals from Tony Adams, Ian Selly, Alan Smith, Paul Merson, 1 from McGoldrick, and finally Super Kevin Campbell scored 2 to give Arsenal a 7-0 victory. And then this meant that they won the tie 10-0 on aggregate. And then in the quarter-final, Arsenal were drawn against Torino. And at the time, I remember lots of pundits writing off Arsenal's chances and saying there was no way that they were going to get through this tie, that the Italians would be far too strong for them. Arsenal went to Italy and managed to get a 0-0 draw, which I remember the radio commentator saying how surprised he was by how good Arsenal were that day, and that was a great result for them. Then the second leg came at home against Torino at Highbury, and again people were still writing Arsenal off and saying that they wouldn't be good enough to overcome the game. And Arsenal won the game by 1-0. Tony Adams got himself on the score sheet and scored the winner for the Arsenal. And this meant that Arsenal were then won the game by, the tie 1-0 on aggregate, and they moved forward to the semi-final, which saw them drawn against French side Paris Saint-Germain. And the first leg was away in Paris, and Ian Wright, he got himself on the score sheet in a 1-1 draw. And then in the second leg at home, Arsenal won the second leg by 1-0 at Highbury. Kevin Campbell scored for the Gunners, and this gave Arsenal a 2-1 aggregate victory, which meant that Arsenal were through to the final. And again, Arsenal before this game were getting written off by all and sundry, saying there was no way they were going to overcome the French side. The French side were far superior and they wouldn't stand a chance. Well, they weren't, were they? And Arsenal won. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it. So, excellent stuff. And it would be the first time that I was going to see my beloved Gunners in a European final, and this game was going to be played at the Parken Stadium in Copenhagen against the Italian giants Parma, and they had an amazing side. They had Asprilla, they had Thomas Brolin, and again people were writing us off. They were, and before the game, I just found this so disrespectful, and I'm sure the Arsenal players did as well, and it must have motivated them because I'm pretty sure this was the game where UEFA had put yellow and blue ribbons on the Cup Winners' Cup trophy, like as though they didn't expect they fully expected Parma to win the game comfortably, and it was just a matter of turning up to do the formalities of the match, but there was no way that Arsenal were going to win. But we did. So stuff that, UEFA. Arsenal won the game by 1-0, thanks to a goal from Alan Smudger-Smith. And let's look at the lineups that day. Arsenal played a 4-3-3 formation, and they went with Dave Seaman in goal, Lee Dixon at right back, Nigel Winterburn at left back, and they had Steve Bold and Tony Adams, who was captain of Arsenal, obviously, centre-back pairing. And then in midfield, they had Paul Davis and Stephen Morrow, and they had Kevin Campbell. No, not Kevin Campbell. What am I talking about? Yeah, they had Stephen Morrow and Paul Davis and Ian Selly in midfield. And then up front, they played Kevin Campbell out on the right. They had Alan Smudger-Smith playing up front. And then out on the left, they had Paul Merson. Now, you're probably saying, well, where's Ian Wright? Well, Ian Wright, unfortunately, got suspended for the final and was not able to play. His place, obviously, in the side went to Alan Smith. And then on the subs bench that day, Arsenal had Andy Linnigan, Alan Miller, Eddie McGoldrick, Ray Parler, and Paul Dickoff. And obviously, George Graham was manager still at that point. Now, let's have a look at this Parma team, the one that everyone thought that Arsenal were going to destroy Arsenal. Dear oh Lord, I don't know. They had a guy by the name of Luca Bucky in goal. They had a back five of Antonio Benevirio, Benarivo. They had Alberto Di Chiara, and those were wing backs. Then they had a sweeper of Lorenzo Minchiti, and then two centre backs of Luigi Alpolino and Roberto Sensini. And then in centre midfield, they had Thomas Brolin, Gabriele Periri, and Massimo Creeper. I hope I've got those names right. And then in a number 10 role, they had Gianfranco Zola and Faustina Asprilla up front as the main striker. On the bench, they had Marco Ballotta, Roberto Mattagiali, David Balleri, Daniel Zorato, and Alessandro Miele, and their manager was Nevio Scala. So, yeah, that was the Parma side. And like I say, Arsenal were again written off for this tie in much the same way they'd been throughout since the quarterfinals, really. But they overcome all the odds and won the game, like I say, very comfortably, thanks to a goal from Alan Smudger Smith. And then this shows the trophy celebrations. Arsenal celebrating, the Arsenal team celebrating with their trophy. Great victory for Arsenal, and like I say, it was their first European trophy since 1970 when they won the Fairs Cup when they defeated Anderlecht by 4-3 on aggregate. And then this is the open top bus tour, which seems to happen on a regular basis at the moment. Every time they win, they seem to have an open top bus tour, if you believe what Terrace says on the Claude and the Bansters channel. But yeah, seriously, this was the open top bus tour that went through the streets of Islington, and there was thousands of people there that day. And then you can see the Arsenal captain, Tony Adams, the Arsenal manager, George Graham, and Arsenal legend, Alan Smudger Smith, who'd scored the winning goal that day with the European Cup Winners' Cup trophy. And so for the season, I thought I'd show you the leading goal scorers that season for Arsenal. Ian Wright was comfortably the leading goal scorer. He scored 34 goals in 52 appearances. He scored 23 goals in 39 appearances in the Premier League. Can't be right. 23 goals in 39 appearances. Sorry about that, folks. I just thought for a minute it was 38 games a season, because I was going to say, well, that can't be right, can it? But no, there were 42. That was the time that there were 42 league games in the Premier League. And then he scored 1 goal in 4 appearances in the League Cup. And he scored 1 goal in 3 appearances in the FA Cup. 6 goals actually in 4 games in the League Cup. And then he scored 4 goals in 6 appearances in the Cup Winners' Cup. Next highest goal scorer was Super Kevin Campbell, who scored 19 goals in 52 games. Paul Merson chipped in with 12 from 47, and Alan Smith chipped in with 7 from 41, and Big Tony Adams, the Arsenal captain, he was 6th highest goal scorer. He chipped in with 4 from 48 games. Not bad return for a centre-back, I have to say. And yeah, so all in all, a very good season for the Gunners. And this season also saw Arsenal concede the fewest amount of goals in the Premier League. However, they seemed a bit short of goals scored, because most of their competitors in the Premier League title race scored quite a few more goals than what they did. But defensively, Arsenal were rock solid and hardly conceded any. In fact, I think, let's see if we can find the Premier League table. Let me just quickly go back to that and you can see what I'm talking about. Right, here it is. So this was the final Premier League title, and as you can see, Arsenal conceded only 28 goals all season, which was comfortably the best in the league. The next best was Blackburn Rovers, who only conceded 36. But as you can see, Arsenal didn't score anywhere enough goals as compared with their rivals. Manchester United scored 80, Blackburn scored 63, Newcastle scored 82, and Leeds scored 65. And Wimbledon in sixth scored 3 more than Arsenal. So yeah, really, that total just tells its own stories where the problems were, and if they wanted to mount a title challenge. So yeah, that makes for interesting reading. So next time out, I'll be looking at the 1994-95 season. We'll see what happens there. Anyway, so that's the end of my Arsenal 93-94 season. The highlight for me was obviously winning the European Cup Winners' Cup against Parma, particularly because the way that we'd been written off. And this guy, I remember watching this game with my mate Mick, who's a Norwich fan, and we were sitting there together with his little son, who was quite young at the time. And Arsenal, I remember being really hyped up for this match. And I think the roof on his flat nearly come off when Arsenal scored that night. And yeah, so it was a great night for me. I've really enjoyed the fact that we'd won a European trophy. And yeah, it's great to see. Yeah, like I say, next time I'll be looking at the 1994-95 season. So I hope you all enjoyed that. Please, in the comments section, if you could put your thoughts about that season, if there's any memorable highlights for you, if you're an Arsenal fan, tell me about those memories. Tell me what stood out for you that season. Also, if you're a fan of an opposition club, what you thought about playing against that Arsenal side, how it was for you, memories from watching your own club that particular season. That would be interesting. What you thought about Arsenal winning the Cup Winners' Cup that year, all those sorts of things. Just tell me all your thoughts about that season in general. I'd be absolutely delighted to read them. So yeah, thanks very much everyone for watching, and I'll be back soon. In fact, in about an hour and a half, I'm going to be going live. At 2:30 this afternoon, I'm going to go live to do my review of the Boxing Day fixtures, because there's 9 on Boxing Day and then 1 game the day after. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you check me out for that one. Please don't forget to put a like on the video. Please don't forget to share it around. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And most importantly, please remember to keep talking, and please remember to share some love and kindness around the world. And also, as well as all that, don't forget to have a great Christmas and enjoy yourselves. Have some fun. Don't drink and eat too much. But yeah, have a great time, and I'll look forward to seeing you all again soon. Thanks very much for watching, and take care, everyone, and I'll see you all soon.